The origin of money. Um, it's pretty simple to explain, actually. We've been operating as nomadic hunter gatherers for a very long time on this planet. And commerce, that is exchange of goods and services, it's probably relatively new. The advent of agriculture, roughly 10,000, 11,000 years ago, depending on who you ask. But let's say it's, 10,000 years ago. Um, Played a big part in the creation of money. So, what money is, all that money really is at the end of the day. I don't even have my wallet here to bust out a bill, but you know what a $20 bill looks like. All that paper money is a store of value. I want you to understand something. The only reason why $20 has $20 worth of buying power today, and I'm talking about the US dollars, so the greenback. The only reason why it has $20 worth of buying power today is because people universally agree that it has $20 worth of buying power today. You give a $20 bill to an alien, to a crow, to any other animal on the planet, it's absolutely useless to them. They wouldn't even know how to wipe their ass with it. It has no meaning to them. It has no bearing. It's only humans that it has some sort of exchange of value to it. Now, the reason why money was created was to store value. So let me paint a picture for you. Let's go back in a time machine 10, 11, 12,000 years ago. And people were operating and shifting into their little tribes, right? And there was a guy that was maybe good with goats. There might have been another guy that was getting into blacksmithing. There might have been another guy that just started into agriculture and he was farming wheat or something like that. And some of those items are perishable. If you're a blacksmith and you're making horseshoes for horses, horseshoes are pretty durable. You can buy a horseshoe and leave it on a shelf and it's good for a long period of time. Doesn't degrade. It might rust over time if it's exposed to certain elements, but at the end of the day, it's very durable. Other things that are perishable, let's say wheat, you harvest wheat, it's perishable after a certain period of time if it's not stored properly, if it's not made into bread or other goods, for example, um, and that value diminishes rather quickly. So they had a problem. Animals die too, obviously. They can get sick. So they had a problem. There's certain things that people wanted from others that were perishable, and there's certain things that were durable. So they need to figure out a way to store that value in something, because maybe when the guy needed horseshoes that was growing the wheat, didn't have wheat to trade because it wasn't ready to be harvested for another 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. He didn't have any means or ability to go and buy horseshoes for his plow horses, let's say. Just making up this story, but just sort of giving an example. So they had to figure out a way to store value in something. Throughout history, they've stored value in seashells, gold, obviously, precious metals, gold and silver, copper, stuff like that. They've stored value in tulips, even at one point. I thought that was, a good store of value. And then all of that, pivoted and shifted over time into things like, paper money and credit. And, now we have digital currency like Bitcoin and stuff like that today. So the long story is rather long, and I'm not going to get into it to, bore you, but that's essentially what money is. It's just a store of value. So whenever you come across somebody that's got a lot of money, they didn't steal it from people, generally speaking, for the most part. If they've acquired a lot of wealth, then they've stored a lot of value in money, which means they've provided a lot of value to other people, right? The reason why Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world is because he's assumed the NASA contracts that the space shuttle used to do. And he's throwing satellites into orbit like it's going out of style. He's got I think the heaviest lift rocket that's ever been built, in history. He makes electric cars, solar panels. Like, dude's up to some good, right? So, he's created some value in the world for people, and he stored that value in money. That's all that money is. Now, money's got a lot of messed up properties, if we're being honest, because the way the government can print unlimited quantities of it. And I'm not gonna propose that I'm smart enough to break down all of these things in simple terms for you guys. I'd suggest watching YouTubers like George Gammon. I like to have him on every few months on my main channel, just to sort of chop it up and catch up what's going on with the economy. But that's essentially, the long and short of it. That is what the history of money is. Jack, that's an interesting super chat. How many times did you fail before $1 million? I don't know. All of my life until I got the $1 million, I would say. Early 30s, something like that. You're going to fail a lot more times than you win, when it comes to making money and creating wealth. But we'll save the creating wealth one for another episode of the Unplugged Alpha. That'll probably be number 2 or number 3. So you can keep an eye out for that one later on. Anyway, welcome to the new channel members, guys. Appreciate you joining us, supporting the channel, and all that good stuff. So the other parts of the show that I wanted to spend some time on is around credit, because that's the main way today that people are using money, the masses, if you will. And again, I started out in the credit and collection industry. I left that in 2002, 3. I think it was 2003. It was the start of 2003. I started my business February 8th, 2003 is when I incorporated it. I know that. And I took a package and I went home in November of 2002. And I talked about that part in my book, The Unplugged Alpha. If you guys are new to the channel, get the book. It's on Amazon. There's an Audible version that I narrated. The book's also getting updated too, by the way. There's going to be a first edition update out later on this year. And there'll be a special announcement with what's going to follow after that. And then there's a second book coming out towards the end of the year. That's going to fill in a lot of the stuff that should have gone in the first book. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.